Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something you guys requested, the advantages of mobile phones. We've got a cool episode from the NUML English podcast, and
Interesting.
they had a guest on named David, and he had some great points. So let's jump right in.
Yeah, sounds good. You know, it's funny because it's such a relevant topic, right? These devices are so powerful, and we literally have them in our pockets all the time.
It's true, and the NUML episode really emphasized that. They talked about mobile phones being a communication revolution. They said, it's almost impossible to imagine life without constant connection now. But is that always a good thing? That's what I was thinking.
That's such a great question. It really makes you step back and think, the way we communicate has changed so dramatically in just a couple of decades. Think about it, landlines and letters, maybe even pagers for some of us.
Oh man, I remember those pager days. I thought it was so cool. But you're right, now we have instant global connection through calls, texting, video chats, social media. It's crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes I wonder, have we lost something in all of this?
Yeah, true. Connected all the time. But are we really engaging with each other in a meaningful way? Something to think about.
Definitely.
But okay, putting philosophy aside for a second, another thing they highlighted was how phones are like productivity powerhouses now.
Yeah.
Especially with so many people working remotely.
Oh, yeah.
Having email and calendars and all your work apps basically in your pocket is a game changer.
For sure. It's like carrying a portable office around. Even when you think about the most popular app categories, most of them are designed for helping us work more efficiently. Do you have any go-to productivity apps that you rely on?
Oh, tons. My to-do list app is my lifesaver. And I could not function without my project management app to keep track of everything.
Yeah, I feel that.
But speaking of things we can't live without, the NUML episode got me thinking about the whole entertainment aspect too. It's crazy to think we have a whole world of entertainment on the go now. Streaming services, music, games, even podcasts.
It's kind of meta, right? We're talking about podcasts as a form of entertainment on our phones while doing a podcast.
I know, right? But it highlights how mobile phones have become the battleground for our attention, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. They actually use the term attention economy, which I thought was really interesting.
What did you think about that?
Well, think about it. Every app developer, content creator out there, they all want those few minutes we have throughout the day. They're using algorithms, notifications, whatever it takes to keep us hooked.
It's kind of scary when you put it that way. I guess it comes down to being mindful about how we use our phones.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to just be mindlessly scrolling all day. Finding that balance is key.
So true. But let's switch gears a bit and talk about another advantage they brought up, education. They were really excited about how phones have become these amazing tools for personalized learning.
Oh,
Yeah, they mentioned things like apps and ebooks and online courses.
yeah.
They even compared it to how limited access to knowledge used to be, Like, we were stuck with libraries and expensive textbooks.
And they're totally right. Mobile technology has democratized knowledge in a big way. I mean, they specifically mention language learning apps and YouTube tutorials, and those can be super effective for anyone who wants to learn something new.
It is really incredible how much information we have at our fingertips now. And speaking of things being readily available, they also talked about the everyday convenience factor, using phones for directions, checking the weather, all those little things.
Right, and one area that I think is often overlooked in these discussions is mobile banking. It's become so seamlessly integrated into our lives, but it's actually had a huge impact on how we manage our finances.
It's funny you mentioned mobile banking because I was just thinking about that. If we were doing this deep dive 10 years ago, that probably wouldn't even be on the list.
Exactly.
But the way phones have influenced even our financial lives is pretty wild.
Absolutely. It just goes to show how quickly this technology is evolving and how deeply it's woven into every aspect of our lives now.
Yeah, totally. And, the NUML folks did touch on one important thing. Potential downsides, like phones can be super distracting.
Right, and that's where things get tricky. It's this constant balancing act between using phones as tools and making sure they're not using us.
Right. It's like, how do we maximize the benefits while being mindful of how technology can hijack our attention?
Exactly. It's a tough question.
It's almost like that Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility, but for mobile phones, right?
Yeah, I like that. It really highlights the two sides of this technology. Incredible benefits, for sure, but it also demands some critical thinking on our part, We have to be aware of the potential pitfalls.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, it seems like we've covered a lot of ground already. We've talked about communication, productivity, entertainment, even banking. It feels like we've just scratched the surface though, right?
We have. We've laid some groundwork, explored some key advantages, and even started to think about the bigger picture. But the conversation definitely doesn't stop here.
It's true. There's always more to discover. And one thing that stood out to me was how the NUML podcast, they didn't really look ahead that much. They talked about how essential phones are now. But what about the future? What's next?
That's what's so exciting. Mobile tech is changing so fast. It's almost like we're trying to predict the future. But there are definitely some clues out there.
Like what could be the next big thing? It's hard to imagine something as groundbreaking as, when mobile internet first came out.
Well, just think about the power we have right now in our pockets. We're basically carrying around supercomputers, and with AI getting so advanced, things are going to get even more wild.
So you're saying like even smarter AI assistants than we have now, not just setting reminders, but actually helping us make decisions.
Exactly. Imagine AI that doesn't just manage your schedule, but actually analyzes your goals, your habits, even your mood, and gives you personalized advice. It'd be like having this super intuitive life coach right there on your phone.
Okay, now that's getting a little sci-fi. But I can see how that's like the next step from where we are now.
And it's not just about personal productivity. Think about healthcare. Imagine sensors that are always tracking your health data and sending it to your phone. You could get real-time feedback or even early warnings about potential problems.
Wow, that would be amazing. It'd be like having a personal doctor with you 24/7. What else is coming up?
Well, we're already seeing augmented reality popping up. But imagine a world where your phone can actually overlay information and virtual experiences onto your real surroundings. The possibilities are incredible.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It could change everything from shopping and navigating to learning and entertainment.
Exactly. And on top of all of that, mobile networks are getting better and better. Faster speeds, lower latency. It's going to open up experiences we can't even comprehend yet.
It's almost too much to think about. It's definitely exciting to imagine how all these advancements could improve our lives in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
Absolutely. The key takeaway here is that mobile phones have come such a long way, but this is just the beginning. All the advantages we've talked about so far, they're just the start.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
Right.
What we consider cutting edge right now could be totally normal in a few years.
And that's what makes this whole topic so fascinating. There's this constant feeling of potential, like there's uncharted territory out there just waiting to be explored.
We're all part of this journey, watching this technology unfold and shape our world in real time.
Aww.
But going back to the NUML podcast for a minute, there was something they said that stuck with me. It was about how important it is to be mindful about how we use our phones.
Absolutely. As these devices become even more powerful, even more integrated into our lives, it's going to be even more important to be intentional about how and why we use them.
It's a conversation that's happening everywhere these days, isn't it? Where do we draw the line between using our phones as tools and letting them use us?
It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer, and it's probably going to get even harder as mobile technology keeps getting better.
Well, it sounds like we've only scratched the surface in our deep dive into the advantages of mobile phones.
We have. We've explored some core benefits, we've looked into the future, and we've even touched on some of the bigger societal questions that come with mobile technology. But the conversation doesn't end here.
It's true. The conversation never really ends. And it's up to each of us to figure out how to navigate this whole mobile phone world, make sure we're actually using these tools to our advantage.
I totally agree. We need to be aware of how this tech affects our lives, both personally and as a whole society. We can't just blindly accept every new feature or update. We have to stop and ask ourselves, is this really making my life better, or is this just another distraction?
It's like anything else. You need moderation and intention.
Huh.
But, going back to all those future advancements we talked about, it makes me wonder what new advantages might pop up in the next 5 or 10 years. Like, what could a future deep dive on mobile phones uncover?
It's pretty mind-blowing to think about, right? What if mobile phones become so integrated into our lives that we don't even notice them anymore? Like, what if we can control our whole environment just by thinking about it? Or access information instantly through, neural implants connected to the cloud?
Whoa, now that's some next level stuff. It's exciting and a little bit scary to imagine how much could change. But I have to admit, I'm really curious to see what happens.
Me too. That's what I love about technology. It's always pushing the limits. But it's our responsibility to shape that future, to make sure we're using these tools in a way that benefits everyone.
Well said.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the advantages of mobile phones, I'm left with a feeling of awe and also a little bit of caution. These devices are incredible, but it's up to us to use them wisely.
I couldn't agree more. It's been great exploring this with you. Same here. And a big thank you to all of you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and interesting.
Until next time, stay curious.